Please welcome to the stage, Chris Cronin.
Good morning, everyone. How did you like the opening video? We sure had a lot of fun putting it together for you. Your vision realized. The SketchUp team's goal has always been to make software that reflects the way you think, the way you create, the way you work. Software that's a joy to use, that allows you to get the vision out of your head and into a digital form as quickly as possible. Today, we're going to walk you through our collective vision for where the SketchUp ecosystem is going. And that vision is in partnership with all of you, shaped by your guidance and feedback that you've generously shared with us over the years. But first, I want to officially welcome all of you to 3D Basecamp 2024 at Trimble Dimensions. Great to be back together again after the fun we had in Vancouver 2 years ago. We've traded the sea and whales of the Pacific Northwest for the neon lights and the red rocks of the Las Vegas desert and strip. And this time, we've teamed up with our Trimble colleagues to bring you an amazing few days of programming, spanning from concept to construction, from the digital world of software to the physical world of 3D scanners and dirt movers, a wide collection of Trimble solutions that can be used on projects both large and small. I want to acknowledge our incredible sponsors. Joining us again at 3D Basecamp, throughout the sessions and on the expo floor, are a number of very special partners. I'd like to extend a big thank you to all of the 3D Basecamp sponsors. We truly appreciate the unique and exciting partnerships we have with all of you. And new to our programming this year is a double-header session tomorrow morning, right back here on the main stage. Grab a coffee and come check out the 3D Basecamp Partner Showcase to see how a number of top-tier technology partners are participating in the SketchUp ecosystem, and witness the first ever SketchUp 0 to 60 startup competition. Nine incredible startups from around the globe have spent the last 4 months building new SketchUp integrations. Tomorrow morning, right here on the stage, they'll be presenting these new integrations publicly for the first time to all of you and competing for the top prizes. So, over the next hour and over the next few days, we're going to give you a sneak preview of how we're realizing our vision for SketchUp through a number of pillars, including interoperability, reality capture, collaboration, photorealism, and, of course, AI. The ways in which AI will change and reshape this industry are no doubt numerous. We're in the early stages of this journey, and not even the Oracle of Delphi could predict where AI is going. But we're already starting to see some changes and benefits. The ways in which AI can speed up existing workflows and jobs to be done, how it can drive alignment earlier in a project between stakeholders, its ability to make software even more accessible to new users, which in the context of new users to 3D is pretty exciting to us. SketchUp Diffusion was one of our first AI projects we released publicly. Julius, a director at Smallwood Architects in the UK, was an early adopter. Now, Julius's firm is fairly typical in the architecture industry. They're a 10-person firm with a number of long-tenured employees, and because of their size, their entire team works on any and all phases of their projects. Let's hear from Julius about his first impressions.
When Diffusion came along, I spotted it on Instagram or something like that. I thought, God, yeah, I've got to get all over this. This looks really good. So I was incredibly impressed at how easy and quickly it was to use. I thought we can generate CGIs on the fly rather than have it as a off the end of the process type thing. I quite like the idea of using it as a design development tool as much as it is a final output tool, because it does put up things that you think, I didn't even think of that. That looks really cool. I want to try and incorporate some of that into my design now.
So a little later, you'll hear about some of the improvements we've made to Diffusion since we launched it as a labs feature almost 12 months ago. And it's been feedback from all of the early adopters, like Julius, that has driven these improvements. If you haven't had a chance to try it yourself yet, we've got you covered. Close by, in the expo hall, we have a booth that we're calling the AI Experience, powered by SketchUp, where you can combine your own creativity with the power of generative AI. We have lots of ongoing R&D projects focused on AI, but another significant portion of our R&D efforts are focused on working with interoperability partners on an open ecosystem. We know that you don't only use Trimble tools on your projects, and we've been deeply committed throughout our history, working closely with industry organizations who share this vision to really drive interoperability forward. We've teamed up with Building Smart to help drive forward IFC, and more recently, we've joined the Alliance for OpenUSD and added support for the USDZ format. We're committed to driving open standards to enable the interoperability workflows our customers demand. Griffy, a construction firm based in Sao Paulo, partners with Brazil's major architecture firms to deliver high-quality projects in their hometown and around the country. They would not be able to deliver these beautiful projects without the IFC interoperability that exists in both SketchUp and Trimble Connect, enabling to work with models they receive from all of the other stakeholders. Another customer workflow we've improved is between Autodesk Revit and SketchUp. Chapman Taylor, an architecture firm with 15 global offices, has benefited firsthand from these improvements. 18 months into their Knowledge Economic City Hub project in Medina, the Chapman Taylor team was on site and had to respond to an urgent request from their client. The request required the team to make an adjustment to the facade of the East Towers. And they needed to provide the client with updated, high-quality renderings in just 3 days. Now, the team normally creates these renderings from the detailed SketchUp concept model, with Chaos Enscape as the renderer. But in this case, the most up-to-date 3D data for the project had all been converted from SketchUp to Revit. Not a problem. Now that the Revit importer allows teams like Chapman Taylor to seamlessly bring their Revit models into SketchUp for collaboration or visualization workflows during any and all phases of the project. In the SketchUp ecosystem, all 3D models are welcome, regardless of where they come from. So, partly due to this openness, and partly due to SketchUp's well-known ease of use and accessibility, we're seeing more and more customers around the world standardizing on SketchUp. In Japan, Taisei Corporation wanted a common 3D language to communicate with all stakeholders, internally and externally, and software that thousands of users could be trained on in a matter of hours rather than weeks. After trialing the SketchUp ecosystem for their civil projects, Taisei quickly realized that running their projects on Trimble technology closes the gap between the office work and the reality on site. The result has been fewer surprises and much less rework. But less rework isn't good enough in 2024. Collaboration in this industry can still be much, much better. And that's why, as Sumeli mentioned earlier, we're bringing more collaboration into the workflow. You should be able to more easily capture what is in the built environment today and then create a complete understanding of what will be for all stakeholders, especially your clients. No client wants surprises on their projects in either form or materiality. So today, we're giving you an early preview into what we believe collaboration should look like on a project. We're bringing modern collaboration paradigms to 3D, and it's all built on top of the industry's leading platform, Trimble Connect. So let's get started. It's time for me to introduce the team that is working day in and day out on this collaboration vision and much more, supporting the increasing demands to deliver projects better, faster, safer, cheaper, and greener. Please welcome to the stage SketchUp Senior Director of Product, Sandra Winstead.
Hey, everybody. I'm curious, how many of you recognize this scale figure? I see we have a ton of longtime SketchUp users in the audience today. So I built this model 20 years ago when I was fresh out of architecture school. My job back then was to build the component libraries for SketchUp 5, but it really became popular when it was the default scale figure in SketchUp 6, where I'm pretty sure I was deleted millions of times. Here's another drawing from the same era that some of you may recognize. Even if you haven't seen it before, I think everyone in this room can relate to it. In a typical construction project, the decisions in the earliest design phases have the most impact on cost and building efficiency. As the project progresses, it costs more to make changes. That makes sense, right? Here's the thing. Most of the design effort on most projects is spent here when it's harder to impact building cost and efficiency and more expensive to make changes. Ideally, more of the design effort would be shifted to the earlier phases of design when the big picture decisions are made and flexibility is a lot cheaper. It's a hard truth that the phases of design that have the most impact are squeezed into the least amount of time. So if you take the ideas in this diagram and apply them to the entire life cycle of a building, you'll see that the decisions made in the design phase, while short in time, have a huge impact on building cost through construction and occupancy. This is true of any project that requires complex spatial planning, whether you're redesigning an interior layout or planning sequencing on a construction site. We want to help you make the most of that planning time to help you answer important questions faster, reduce surprises, and ultimately build more sustainable, more functional, more beautiful buildings. Our goal at SketchUp is to build tools that you can use to make complex spatial decisions more efficiently and get jobs done more collaboratively so that outcomes are better for everyone. Designers, builders, clients, everyone. I'll take you on a quick tour to highlight a few of the ways we're helping to make that happen. At the start of a project, you're pulling in real-world context. As you saw in the Dimensions keynote, we've integrated with other Trimble technology to create Scan Essentials, which lets you import highly accurate data as a point cloud. We've also improved the ability to pull in multiple imports of satellite imagery, higher quality terrain data, and north orientation using the Add Location tool. Zooming out a bit, I'd like to shine a spotlight on a hidden gem in our portfolio. You can use our pre-design app to understand location-specific climate and weather data alongside recommended strategies for building sustainably. Zooming into a smaller scale, you can use SketchUp's scan-to-design workflow on LiDAR-enabled iPads to scan a room. You can generate a range of outputs, including textured and untextured models, detailed meshes, and simplified orthogonal geometry that's grouped and tagged and ready to use. Once existing conditions are captured, it's time to create. We introduced parametric live components at Basecamp in 2022, and now there are hundreds of them on the 3D warehouse. We've been working to integrate with native SketchUp tools, making them easier to paint, to scale, and to snap. This is all in service of reducing the time it takes to build detailed models. As Sameli said this morning, design doesn't happen in a vacuum. We're all here today as partners in the process of building the physical world. Feedback from clients, colleagues, consultants, they're all critical parts of this process. So, we've been working on 2 multi-year projects. First, our team completely rebuilt the SketchUp graphics engine to improve performance and enable new visualization capabilities. Because what you communicate is just as important as how. With the release earlier this year, desktop users reported that SketchUp was up to 8 times faster, and that was when they were working with even larger models than before. You also saw the first visual improvement in our pipeline, ambient occlusion, which adds depth and richness to all kinds of models and drawings. This is SketchUp's hidden line mode with ambient occlusion and materials layered in. And one more, here's an example in layout created by Marie Baroli, who's an interior designer in Brazil. This is a line drawing with ambient occlusion and then materials layered in. So this is all courtesy of the new graphics engine, and it's just the beginning. The second project was to build a real-time collaboration engine, and you've seen a few of the first results in the link sharing features released earlier this year. So far, over 650,000 users have shared links, which have been viewed by almost 4 million people. It's exciting to us when we release features that you really love, and we love hearing from you. Many of you took part in our UX labs at Basecamp 2 years ago, and we've folded that feedback into past, present, and future releases. The features you'll see today carry your fingerprints. Your feedback at events like this and through our labs program helps shape the future of SketchUp. Here to show you more of our work in progress is Gopal Shah.
Thank you, Sandra. How about another round of applause for Sandra? That was great. Hi, everyone. It is truly an honor to be here with all of you today to share some of the things that we've been working on over the past few months and years. You know, I first fell in love with SketchUp soon after college. I studied digital design and took these semester-long courses to learn 3D tools like Maya. I remember my textbook for that class. It was like 2 inches thick. I think it had a picture of Gollum on it. Anyway, when I first encountered SketchUp, and I imagine many of you can relate, it felt like a revelation. SketchUp had dramatically lowered the barrier to entry for 3D modeling. But for me, as a future product manager, it also inspired something a little deeper. This idea that powerful tools can be simple, intuitive, and even fun to use. So when I joined the SketchUp product team a few years ago, it felt like a homecoming. Except I was working remotely in Wisconsin, and my colleagues were spread across the country and even the globe. Very quickly, I came to understand the importance and the power of tools that enabled seamless communication. Google Docs, Miro, and Figma were central to my team's productivity, yet SketchUp itself was still a single-player app. That insight sparked a multi-year initiative to adapt SketchUp to the changing reality of how we all work. As we started that journey, we invoked our long-held principle that simple is powerful. And today, we'll take a look at the progress we've made building collaboration tools directly into SketchUp. Now, collaboration, of course, goes beyond how you communicate. What you communicate is just as important. In our world, success literally hinges on how well you can paint a picture for your colleagues and your clients. And today, we'll take a look at the visualization capabilities unlocked by our new graphics engine. But out beyond the how, out beyond even the what, there is the why. Why do we collaborate? The reason is simple. No one builds a building alone. Together, we turn ideas into reality. And so before we dive into these demos, let's take a moment to recognize this rare opportunity we have to be here together. Consider what you're about to see as just a starting point for the conversations we'll have this week. We have so much to learn from each other. All right, with that, let's light this candle, shall we? All right, let's begin by revisiting the coffee shop we first saw in the Dimensions keynote. As you can see, our model is coming along nicely. Our lead designer has arrived at a good place to share it with her team, and we'll pick up our story here. With native Trimble Connect integration, our designer can create a shareable link that opens in a web browser. There's no need to save or send skip files, export PDFs, JPEGs, or videos. Just a simple link that opens in SketchUp. But link sharing was only a beginning because it was a one-way form of communication, allowing others to view your design, but not necessarily engage. But the reason you share something is to collaborate, to receive feedback. So this time, when our designer shares the link, she invites her team to leave feedback directly in the model. Fast forward to the next morning, our designer opens the coffee shop, and look at that. There's a new set of comments waiting for her. With comments now embedded in SketchUp, there's no need to worry about feedback getting lost. You know, like that Post-it you scribbled after the client meeting, you just can't seem to find when you need it? No more. Engaging in a conversation about design is as easy as clicking one of these hotspots and typing something. Comments are also contextual. Clicking a comment takes you directly to the relevant view, like this discussion here about the balance between natural and artificial lighting inside the shop. In the comments panel, you can also scan all of your conversations and quickly identify important ongoing discussions, like this one about the shop's facade. Yesterday morning, the principal architect left some feedback. She felt the facade lacked something. It needed more personality. In response, our designer added some plants and an awning. Today, our designer sees a new reply from the principal who likes the plants, but realizes the awning will block the view of the logo from the street. To illustrate the issue, the principal attaches a camera view to her comment. This quick, iterative feedback allows the team to catch a problem early and course correct before the design has progressed too far. To address the feedback, the designer starts by removing the awning and adding a placeholder for the logo. Seeing the facade with fresh eyes, a new idea dawns on a designer. Maybe, just maybe, the facade itself can be the solution. SketchUp's powerful new graphics engine already makes it easier to communicate depth and shading. Features like ambient occlusion give your designs a pop. But let's take a closer look at the styles panel now. There's a new face style called photoreal materials. Let's turn this on. In design, materiality speaks volumes. It's essential to telling the full story of your project, which is why SketchUp now natively supports physically based materials and image-based lighting. You can applaud. If you've used physically based materials or PBRs in other applications, our approach should look familiar. We're introducing industry standard properties to SketchUp materials like metalness, roughness, normals, and ambient occlusion. When combined, these properties and texture maps make things come together and feel photoreal. Drawing inspiration from the gleaming facades along the Vegas Strip, our designer decides to pull in a set of gold brick PBR maps and dial in something that makes our facades smooth and shiny. Ugh, okay. Maybe that gold's a little too gold. How about a nice rose gold instead? That feels better, doesn't it? Now, maybe you're new to PBR materials and aren't quite sure what a normal map is. Or perhaps you just don't want to make every material from scratch. Good news. The 3D warehouse will have more than 500 PBR materials available to download. Our designer has grabbed a weathered brick material from the warehouse to add a bit of textural contrast to the top of the building. Now everything's starting to come together. The last thing to do is to fine-tune our lighting. Image-based lighting adds a subtle and highly realistic touch to the scene. In our new environments panel, you can choose from a selection of preloaded sky domes or upload your own HDRI or EXR file. Our designer is almost ready to showcase the new facade to the team. But before she does, she's going to rotate the sky dome. This highlights the dynamism of these new materials, showing how they react to the changing lighting conditions and bringing the whole facade to life. It's pretty cool, huh? In no time, our designer has an eye-catching new facade ready for review. She invites her team for a look. They love it. It's time to share the latest design with the shop owners. The team is now gearing up for a client check-in. They've kitted out the model with Entourage and created some scenes to capture the key looks of the updated design. At this point, you might normally export the scenes as JPEGs, embed those JPEGs in a slide deck, save that slide deck as a PDF, and then email that PDF to the clients. It's a lot of overhead for a design check-in. But what if you could simply share a presentation directly from SketchUp? Our new slideshow link makes that possible. This on-rails experience is perfect for clients who are unfamiliar with SketchUp. They get the benefit of seeing the model in 3D without the risk of getting lost trying to navigate the model. It also gives you full control over exactly what your audience sees. And when you realize you misspelled dessert 5 minutes before the presentation, you can make that change quickly, and everyone gets the update automatically. It's presentation time now. The clients are located across the country, and they join our design team for a video call. One client opens the model in slideshow mode in SketchUp for web. The other opens it in SketchUp for iPad. As the meeting starts, our designer can see the clients are in the model, but each participant is probably looking at their own view. When the design team is ready to kick off the presentation, they can gather everyone and guide them through the slides together. This ensures that everyone is looking at the same thing at the same time. And because we've extended our new graphics engine to both web and iPad, this guarantees that the clients get to see that subtle, beautiful materiality in all its glory. As they land on the final view, the designer notices the clients excitedly circling the shop's placeholder logo. The clients tell her that they just finalized the logo yesterday. Knowing that adding the logo to the coffee shop before the meeting ends might seal the deal with the clients, our designer invites them to share the final logo with a new comment. To create the mock-up, our designer heads over to the 3D warehouse and searches for a flower. The first result is actually a live component, a type of model with complex geometry that's easy to configure on the fly. She uses the available materials to dial in something that's actually quite close to the final logo, and then downloads it to her computer. Now, if you've been paying close attention up till now, you may have noticed me dropping hints about the model updating instantly for everyone. That's thanks to the new real-time collaboration engine powering this entire experience. Any change our designer makes is immediately visible to everyone. Our designer first has drawn the base for the logo in that same teal found inside the shop. She has also pulled in our live component, which can now be painted and scaled with native tools in SketchUp. Before the meeting comes to a close, our designer brings the client's camera views to her own, orbiting the logo so the shop owners can see the Nevada sun glinting off their pride and joy, the desert rose. With comments to work through design challenges, photorealistic materials to convey nuanced materiality, slideshow mode to engage even the uninitiated in the 3D design process, and live links to collaborate with stakeholders in real time, our designer, her team, and her clients, who of course are stand-ins for all of us, were able to create something better together. But what if we could layer in one more intelligent collaborator to elevate this design even further? To share our vision for how we're introducing AI to SketchUp, I'd like to welcome to the stage Mike Tadros.
So good. Thanks, Gopal. It really is surreal, even for me, to see how the vision for real-time collaboration is taking shape, and to see users jam in with the ability to render models realistically in real time, working across desktop, web, and iPad. Hello, everyone. It is great to be back with you for another Trimble Dimensions and 3D Basecamp. It's our first twofer, and I hope you're having as much fun as I am. Now, a quick show of hands if you're excited about the new rendering capabilities that Gopal showed off earlier. All right, awesome. Now, keep your hands up if you have some amount of experience creating your own seamless, physically based materials, adding the texture maps, tinkering with the values. Okay, some of you. Good. Now, keep your hands up if you actually enjoy the time it takes to create and edit your own materials. Okay, for the one person with their hand up, you can just tune out for a sec. The rest of you are going to want to see this next part. Now, here we're looking at the traditional workflow for importing an image and applying it directly to a face in the model as a texture. Now, you can see that even though the new photoreal materials face style is turned on, this material looks kind of flat. And because the texture was poorly cropped, the pattern looks kind of wrecked. Well, if we pop over to the materials panel to edit this material, you can see we've added an AI-powered pixie dust icon. Now, this is the good part, so don't blink, because with just one click, we're able to automatically convert a material into a full-fledged PBR. And not only will SketchUp generate and apply all the texture maps and properties, but it also fixes the base texture so that it tiles seamlessly. Yeah, so good, so good. Now, before I dive into more of the work we're doing and have done to fold cutting-edge technologies into SketchUp, I want to zoom out for a minute and acknowledge some of what we're seeing and hearing as technology continues to alter, in some cases, fundamentally, the landscape of what we do as designers and software developers and how we do it. As someone who spends a lot of time working to keep pace with a rapidly evolving universe of AI stuff, I can empathize with how difficult it can be for all of us to describe the shifting definitions of what AI is, what it's capable of, and what the implications are. There's a lot to figure out, not only about what we're doing, but also how to make sure we're being thoughtful about it. Along those lines, let's take a look at one of the places where we think AI has the potential to support you, and that's the process of creating rendered images and illustrations of your projects. Now, a couple of years ago, when we first set out to explore the inherent potential that surfaced with a new generation of tools like Midjourney, DALL-E, and Stable Diffusion, we were inspired by the work of innovators like Tim Fu, Hamza Sheikh, Josh Vermillion, Hassan Ragab, and others. The process of creating renderings was being turned inside out, and we began to see the potential to reimagine the process entirely. What if you could focus on what you're trying to communicate and let AI handle a good chunk of the work to figure out how? When considering AI's potential as a thought partner, we were captivated by the idea of helping designers overcome blank page syndrome, sparking the flow of ideas that lead to creative breakthroughs. With AI's capacity to explore and discover new design ideas, we saw an opportunity to enable rapid iteration during the conceptual stages of a project. And we began to envision the types of experiences designers could have, collaborating with clients, using AI to suss out what it is that they do or don't want. Here's an interesting quote by Ethan Mollick, a professor of management at the Wharton School, who's written extensively on the implications of AI on work and education. He offers this insight when talking about the potential for generative AI to help support creative processes. Some strong positives exist. Many people want to express themselves creatively, and remarkably few feel they can. When surveyed, only 31% of people felt they were living up to their creative potential. Okay, so what about the other 69%? I mean, that's a lot of potential creative energy in the world. Making creativity more accessible to more people has always been at the core of SketchUp's mission. And insights like this help underscore the opportunity we have to infuse SketchUp with emerging technologies in meaningful and intentional ways. That opportunity, I think, also helps to explain the overwhelming response and enthusiasm we received when we launched SketchUp Diffusion around this time last year. But let's be honest, the feedback wasn't all rainbows and dancing unicorns. There were also plenty of notes that you shared with us highlighting where you felt we had room for improvement. We're grateful for the notes, by the way, the good, the bad. To me, they all sound like love letters, so please keep them coming. So on the plus side, what have we heard? What had you all in a frenzy? Well, what we heard was that Diffusion was super helpful for a ton of stuff. Here are some of the key points. Rapidly generate and explore design concepts. Check. Create compelling imagery to support your design narrative. Check. Secure client buy-in faster. Check. Increase win rates. Double check. How about the not so great side of things? Well, what it basically boiled down to is that as professionals, you needed more control over the final output. You wanted to push beyond using AI as a tool for ideation and use it as a tool that's flexible enough and powerful enough to create beautiful and accurate deliverables that you can hand over to clients. Great. Challenge accepted. A critical piece of the puzzle was teaching AI to do a better job of respecting the carefully selected color and material choices that you make in SketchUp. So we got to work and retooled our pipeline to do exactly that. Here you can see a comparison between a SketchUp model on the left, and on the right is an image that was generated using the previous version of Diffusion. With the latest version, we're now seeing results like this. I agree. Here's another one. SketchUp model on the right, or left. The types of results we were generating before. And here you can see what we're generating now. I had to put one more in here. SketchUp model on the left, types of results we were seeing before, and here you can see what we're generating now. And I feel like I need to point out here, these images are one button click, straight out of SketchUp, zero post-processing. Now let's take a look at what else is new and turn our attention to this beautiful project by Alberto Baitia that's slated to begin construction in Chile next month. Here you can see that after landing on a scene at the front of the house, Alberto launches Diffusion. For those of you who have used Diffusion before, the first thing you'll notice is that we've maxed out the canvas and rearranged the UI to give you a full screen workspace, where you can simply type in a prompt to begin generating amazing results. Oh, I love that one. Now, another thing we heard is that when you're using Diffusion over the course of a project, there are times when you want to be able to pick up where you left off, or review ideas from a previous session or iteration. So in V2, we're introducing a gallery that contains the past 30 days worth of images you've created. Yep. Here, Alberto scrolls through the gallery to look back at past revisions to make sure the client's feedback was addressed, and to check to see if there were any ideas that would be worth revisiting before sending the newest set of images to the client. Now, fast forward to later that afternoon. The client loved the design, but they wanted to see what the upper level might look like without the curved screen. Well, with the new eraser tool, Alberto can simply brush over that area and let AI fill in the blank. And with this image, Alberto is working through a slightly different situation, where the scene of the west side of the project has inspired an idea to revise the design for the pavilion to open up a view from the main living area. To test the idea, Alberto is able to input a prompt and then brush over a specific aspect of the design before then asking AI to generate a series of revisions. Mind-blowing. Okay. Next up is one of my favorite additions, the sketch tool, which, as its name suggests, allows you to express an idea in the form of a sketch, which AI then interprets with the help of your prompt and composites back into the rendered image. Now, for us to truly maximize our creative potential, we need tools that help us express our ideas in visually compelling ways that represent our own unique style. In this example, Alberto starts with a view of the kitchen, but since it's too soon to begin discussions with the client about material selections, he decides that it would be better to generate an illustration with more of a hand-drawn feel. To do this, he uses the new option to attach an image from the photo library that AI can then use as a style reference. Now, keep in mind, this image is a sample of his own hand-drawn artwork. After clicking Generate, he can then blend the rendered image together with the new opacity slider, resulting in this awesome hybrid effect between the two styles, which he can then save right to the SketchUp model as a scene. Yep. Now, as I wrap up with Diffusion, I hope you've seen and have been inspired by the opportunities we're creating for you to harness AI to enhance the way you present and communicate your ideas, bridge the gap between concept and visual storytelling, and create opportunities for the good kind of surprises. Now, let's take this idea of enhancing your creative process a step further. You'll recall the graphs that Sandra touched on earlier and the notes she offered about the solutions we're developing that help shift the bell curve to the left. Additionally, we recognize that the emergence of transformational technologies offer an opportunity to pull established paradigms off the shelf and re-examine them. For example, we can reframe the underlying tenets of this chart by defining the curve that swoops down to the right as the decisions remaining over the course of a project, and the upward swooping curve as the knowledge accrued along the way. Doing this presents a slightly different challenge to all of us, really, to just move that nexus further to the left so that we're able to make better, more well-informed decisions faster and earlier in the process, so that those better decisions have the opportunity to positively impact a greater portion of the overall process. Okay, but how? Well, to answer that question, we need to take a closer look at the forces that act on these curves. When we layer in this backdrop, which shows the relative number of jobs that need to get done in each phase, we get a clue about where the resistance lies. Most of the jobs are over to the left. And these are the jobs where you're collecting the information you need to make better decisions that pay dividends later on. But the sheer effort it takes to collect every piece of useful information and synthesize it is a huge limiter. Each new idea, each iteration becomes a time commitment, a new decision tree with a new set of variables and criteria. Barriers that ultimately dampen creativity. But what if you could recruit AI to help get these jobs done faster, tick way more boxes, and ultimately deliver better outcomes for your client and the planet? What if AI could ingest and wrangle massive amounts of data and nuance and assess the permutations within the boundary of given constraints? Well, to that end, we're thrilled to pull back the curtain and take a look at our latest labs project, SketchUp Assistant. Now, we've designed SketchUp Assistant to feel like a natural evolution in making SketchUp a true partner in creativity, working to support your decision-making and guide you seamlessly through all sorts of challenges. On the surface, SketchUp Assistant presents a conversational interface, but under the hood, it's home to a collection of AI agents that are capable of handling a wide range of tasks. Let's take a look at a few of them now. For starters, the help agent is your new go-to for learning on the fly. Whether you're exploring a new tool, figuring out a workflow, or just need help getting unstuck. It's there to provide guidance that feels natural and relatable. And since SketchUp models can sometimes be difficult to describe, and so can the things you're trying to get done, we've made it easy to attach screenshots of your model to a conversation. This is not only helpful in contexts where you're asking the assistant for information or instructions about how to do something, but it's also proving to be a great way to engage in a conversation with SketchUp, to get ideas about how to move a project forward, or to ask it questions about whether your design meets a given set of criteria. The Spaces agent, there it is, can ingest information about your project, like square footage or other dimensional data, or the number or function of different rooms. Simply type in the info about your project or add images or tables to develop a series of simple adjacency diagrams. After you create and select a plan that works, the agent will then create three-dimensional layouts that you can use as a starting point to advance your design ideas. The 3D warehouse agent seamlessly locates relevant content, saving you time and letting you stay focused on what matters. Some of the other added benefits of using AI to search for content include being able to search for content in your native language, and being able to find the closest match for the exact right thing that you or your client may have already picked out on Pinterest. But the best part might be that with a single prompt, the agent is capable of finding, downloading, and placing multiple items at once. Now, for decades, SketchUp has offered an extensible scripting environment based on the Ruby programming language. It's allowed users and third-party developers from around the world to create specialized tools that cater to a vast array of workflows. The Ruby agent is now available to help all users harness the power of Ruby, allowing you to automate tasks using natural language prompts. In this example, the Ruby agent is generating a script on the fly to create and install a new tool that helps the user create complex arrays. I can't wait for you to share all the amazing ways that you put this agent to work for you. Now, these agents are all awesome in their own right. But with SketchUp Assistant, we're actually taking things a step further. We're teaching these agents how to work together to get even more complex tasks done. For example, here's a scenario where SketchUp Assistant is asked to create a model of the walls that are illustrated in the attached image of a floor plan. The assistant is able to call on a specially trained computer vision agent and a coding agent that generates data that is then sent back to SketchUp and is used to create a 3D model of the walls. Yeah. Here's another scenario where SketchUp Assistant is being asked to help our user import a mood board into SketchUp. The assistant's able to tease apart the mood board using a combination of computer vision and natural language processing. It then goes off to 3D Warehouse in search of items that best match what's shown in the mood board. And it also develops and executes a plan for arranging and placing the items in the space. It even locates the color swatches in the mood board and then uses Ruby to add those colors back into the user's in-model material library. Yeah. Now, the outcomes of these workflows that we're teaching SketchUp Assistant to perform are only as good as the information you give it, which is why we're also investing to develop safe and secure ways for you to train your own team of assistants using your data, your patterns, your rubrics. Here's an early concept of an assistant builder that offers you the option, for example, to upload a PDF containing information such as local building codes or zoning requirements, or the rules and constraints that you think should govern the adjacency of spaces, or the way furnishings or fixtures should be laid out. Information that SketchUp Assistant will then be able to reference to improve the quality of what it delivers. Now, hopefully, these examples have offered a glimpse into how we're thinking about the way that AI can help streamline jobs that today consist of too many tedious, time-consuming tasks, or help condense groupings of jobs into tighter workflows so that we can get you some time back and get that nexus pushed back over to the left. Now, as I wrap up, I want to reiterate our invitation to open a dialogue this week or after so that we can continue to learn from each other about the things you're excited or perhaps a bit anxious about when it comes to the ways AI is transforming the work you're doing. While it's early days for Assistant, and the progress has been at times a bit mind-blowing, it's important for us to engage in productive collaborations with you that ensure you have the opportunity to shape the next generation of tools in ways that delightfully augment your talents and expertise. This week offers a great opportunity for us to share with each other our vision for SketchUp and contribute to bringing that vision to life. We're excited to say that everything you've seen demoed here this morning is available for you to get your hands on this week. So please visit us at the AI Experience in the Expo Hall here on level 2 and in the SketchUp Labs booth on level 3 to get hands-on with these new developments and learn more about joining our early engagement program, SketchUp Labs. On behalf of our entire team, we all hope that this time has offered a meaningful look into the things we're doing to build SketchUp into the place where you go to bring your vision to life, whether that's with colleagues and stakeholders or with AI. That's our time. Thank you.